Hello, my love. Welcome to another episode of Blisstopia podcast. I am your host, Mercedes Castellani, and I am so happy to be recording this episode today. I just got back from an amazing trip to Guatemala, and I want to share with you some of the spiritual modalities that I tried while I was over there and share with you how they work and what I learned from all of this. So, I basically have a very dear friend that I met in university. She was living in Europe and now she moved to Guatemala. So I decided to go visit her for 2 weeks, spend time with her, and also just take 2 weeks for myself to rest after organizing all of the move to Paris. So basically during August and beginning of September, it was a couple of 6 weeks, I would say, that were very, very intense organizing all of the move to Paris. And then I took these 2 weeks for myself to rest, to unwind, to reconnect with myself, reconnect with my friend, and yeah, just really unwind from all of that organization. So I spent 2 weeks in there. My friend was sometimes working. I was taking just time for myself, journaling, having delicious coffee every morning, doing sports, meditating. I did a couple of breathwork sessions that I had scheduled in. And it was just like this beautiful 2 weeks of just recharging. We did a bit of tourism all during 2 weekends, but then during the week, we would just be in Guatemala City, go to nice restaurants, and just chill and have fun together with this dear friend. And while we were there, we tried some super interesting spiritual modalities that are linked to the Mayans. So, linked to the original people that were in America before the Spanish decided to colonize this country, in this case, Guatemala. So we tapped into some of those rituals and spiritual healing modalities that the Mayans would use back in the days. I'm talking 500 years ago, 600 years ago, before the Spanish arrived into Guatemala. So we tried three different things. The first was Temazcal. The second was a fire ceremony with a shaman, with the woman shaman, which was so interesting. I learned so much on that day. And then the third was a static dance. That if you're a listener of the podcast, if you are following me on Instagram, you know I love static dance, and I just decided to do a static dance with the most amazing view I have ever seen, with the view over a beautiful lake and volcanoes. It was just like so lush, so beautiful. So let me share those three spiritual modalities. The first was Temazcal. Temazcal is a Mayan sauna. So imagine like you get into this oven that has been made with clay or sometimes with just earth, bricks. They build these ovens and you kind of go inside of those and it's really hot. But it's not like too hot. It's like nice, like when you go into a sauna or you go into one of these either a wet sauna or a dry sauna. So this felt like that. This felt really, really nice. I love hot weather, so I'm fine with heat. It's not the case for everyone, but I do enjoy heat. So we went into this Temazcal, this Mayan sauna, and basically you can do this in two ways. You can do this on your own. So basically, you just get into that sauna, spend some time in there, and then you can do a cold plunge or you can take a cold shower. Or you can do this also with a shaman. Basically, you have a ceremony inside of the Temazcal. So we did let's say, the independent version. It was just my friend and I. We were there chilling. And what it's really interesting is that, so it has kind of a round shape and it's really, really dark and it's really, really hot. So what people usually say is that it kind of reminds you of being in your mother's womb because it's warm, it's dark, you feel safe, you feel really, really good. And we set an intention before we went into this Temazcal. And my intention was to understand, what do I need to let go of to continue to become my higher self, my future self? What do I need to let go of? And one of the things that came up very strongly was letting go of other people's stories, other people's experiences, and create my own story and my own experience. Because before I went to the Temazcal, I had talked to some friends and clients about it, and I had some stories in my mind. Some people had beautiful stories, telling me that it was, amazing, that I should definitely try it. And some people had some really hard stories of feeling trapped in the Temazcal, feeling like they couldn't leave that place, having lots of fear and panic. So I went into the Temazcal, I went into this experience with a lot of stories in my mind of how this could go. Could either go very well, like some people have described it, or it could go very bad, like some other people had described it. And then when I was there, I was like, oh, this is just like a sauna. It's very relaxing. I mean, yes, there's this whole Mayan thing around it, but it feels like a sauna, and I just loved it. And basically, one of the things that came up for me during the Temazcal, because you have some time to reflect as you are in there sitting in a dark place on your own for at least half an hour. And it was this thing, letting go of other people's stories and creating my own stories. I remembered also while I was there that when I was in university, for example, people who had already, done a certain course, for example, I don't know, mathematics 2, they would be like, oh my God, it was so hard. It was so difficult, the exam and this and that. And then I would go into maths 2, for example. I studied business, so we had some math in the beginning. And I would go into maths 2, and I would be like, yes, you need to work, but it's not super hard. Like it's okay. And then I found out during university, I need to have my own experience and create my own point of view on things, because it might be very different to some other people point of view. So I learned that in university, but I think now this is coming up again, because now I'm in this entrepreneurship, business owner journey. And especially in the coaching industry, many people are sharing their own journey. Like, I hit this milestone by this date, and I had these challenges, and I did this, and this was easy, and this was hard, and this is what you can expect, and blah, 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 blah. All of these stories from other people and other people's experience and journey. And I think the insight for me on the Temazcal was, I need to let go of all of those stories and build my own story, my own business, my own milestones, my own version of this journey. So that was really nice and really interesting for me. And I think it's a very valid point, because sometimes I like to learn a lot from others. So if someone has already climbed the Everest and I want to climb the Everest, I'm going to be like, okay, I want to know everything. How did you do it? I want to learn from you. What worked? Which were your challenges? And that can be a really good thing, because it saves me a lot of time. But at the same time, I'm putting a lot of stories that don't belong to me, and challenges that don't belong to me, and milestones that don't belong to me, and expectations that don't belong to me into my own mind. So I think the insight for me was, let go of all of those stories and build your own story. So that was really beautiful for me and really, really needed, I would say. The second thing that we tried, and I think this is probably the most interesting one, was a fire ceremony with a shaman. So we found a female shaman. My friend had some connections. It's not so easy to find a shaman. It's not so easy to find a good shaman and not someone that is just doing things for tourism. We wanted like a good, proper, kind shaman to work with us. And my friend had some connections. These connections allowed her to meet this women shaman who's called Nana Juanita. And she was this beautiful, wise, older woman. She was really the embodiment of the wise woman archetype. She was just so kind, so peaceful, so loving. But she also had this energy of, I'm not taking any bullshit. She knows herself. She's lived many things. She had a difficult story herself. She had a marriage of abuse. She decided to leave that marriage. And now she has this energy of, I'm not taking any bullshit from anybody. And we went into this fire ceremony. She did a 3-hour fire ceremony for me, and then then we had lunch, and then she did another 3-hour fire ceremony for my friend. And I had no idea of what to expect. I didn't want it to read online. I didn't want it to, again, put so many expectations on this thing. I just wanted to be there and discover what a shaman could offer me. I have never worked with a shaman in the past. And I was really curious just to be in her energy, learn from her. I thought I would maybe have like a reading of my energy or just get some advice. I really didn't know what to expect. So we got into a little town in the middle of Guatemala. It was really hard to get there. We didn't have the appropriate car. It was a bit of an adventure. We crashed the car. It was really minor. We managed to solve it very quickly. It was very minor, but it was like very stressful to get there. So we get into this little town. We crash a car. Then we managed to solve the thing. Then we met the shaman. And I just didn't know what to expect. So we go into this little garden where she has a space where she creates her fires. She had bought so many things to put on the fire. There was honey, there was chocolate, there was tree resin that smelled so good. There were roses, there were sticks of wood that smelled so good. There was corn that would pop and would create like popcorn on the fire. There were so many things. So she had bought all of these things on a market. She created this beautiful fire that she laid out with so much love and grace. And it was really a ritual, and it was very sacred from the very beginning. And then the fire had roses all over the place, and it was just so beautiful. So my friend leaves, and I was supposed to have, my own fire ceremony. So my friend leaves, and we stay there with her, with the shaman, and she started asking me, what I wanted to work on, which was my intention for the fire. And I said the two first things that came to mind. I had no clue because I had no expectations, so I didn't come with an intention in advance. I was like, okay, two first things that came to mind. I asked, okay, I want to have more ideas to develop Blisstopia. And I lost my father 1 year ago. And there's this grief that has been in my heart. I'm doing very well, but the grief and the sadness are still there because I lost my father. And of course, that's not an easy experience. And these were the two things that came to mind. How can I develop Blisstopia? And how can I kind of heal or let go of the grief and sadness of losing my dad? So these two things came to mind, and she lit up the fire. And basically, the way this works is that she can talk to the Mayan gods and goddesses through the fire. And their gods and goddesses are linked to nature. So there was a god of water, a god of fire, a god of air, a god of certain mountain, a god of certain volcano. So it's really their gods are really linked to nature. It's not like, like Shakti, Shiva, like a specific figure. Their gods are nature. So they talk to the wind and they talk to water and they talk to a certain volcano or a certain mountain. And it was just so beautiful. So she would first we started with, ideas to develop Blisstopia. And then we talked about my father's, transformation. And and it was really beautiful. She was like literally sometimes she would speak in her own Mayan dialects. So there's not one Mayan language, but the Mayan people or the people that claim to be descendants of Mayans, they have several very different dialects and they cannot understand one another. So she would speak in her own dialect with the gods, and then she would translate for me in Spanish, which is my mother tongue. So that was okay. And it was really nice. She was just like asking questions and she would read the fire. So, for example, if the fire was small, it would mean something. If the fire would get bigger or more alive, it meant something. If the fire cracked, it meant that it was a confirmation from the gods. She would really read the fire and then connect, I think, intuitively with the gods through the fire. I was shocked. I didn't know what to expect. I went into this 3 hour ceremony. It felt much shorter. It felt like 1 hour and a half or 2 hours. And it would be really hard for me to describe what happened there. But I know the feeling when I do energetic work or emotional work. I know the feeling of something has changed. I can't really put words into what has changed, but something changed. And I had this feeling after the ceremony. I felt like I was on another planet for 3 hours. So then when I came back, I was like, whoa, yes, like I'm here. Okay, we're on Earth. Like it's fine. And then I felt so tired during the afternoon. So while she did the ceremony for my friend, I slept a 2 hour nap on a stranger's house, which was a whole adventure. That day was so full of adventures. We got into that town, we crashed the car, we had a fire ceremony with a shaman, then I sleep on a stranger's bed. Like we went to bed and with my friend we were like, wow, this was such a wild day. But that's part of traveling, you never know what you're going to be confronted with when you're out traveling. So it was a very wild day. And I had this feeling of something has shifted. I don't know what, but something shifted. And during these fire ceremonies, she asked the gods to give me much more intuition, much more clarity on what to do, much more creativity. I do have creativity and intuition, but then she asked for more creativity and more intuition. And then at the end of the ceremony, I could feel my third eye so charged, like something was happening on my third eye. So I think whatever she did and whoever she talked to, it worked. Something worked. And I did get several ideas for Blisstopia after that. And then regarding my father, I do feel a little bit lighter. I do feel lighter. I think I've done quite well, given that it's a very hard situation. From the very beginning, I think 2 weeks after it happened, I started doing therapy. I did a couple of sessions with my therapist that I had worked with in the past for other topics. And I just wanted to make sure that I had some support and that I had a place where I could actually dump all of that because I have, a beautiful relationship, and my partner, of course, is super supportive, but I don't want to contaminate that relationship with my grief. I have a business that needs all of my energy, that needs high energy, because I want to, inspire people and yeah, and create something beautiful, create an amazing business and change people's lives. And it's not the place for me to work on my grief. So from the very beginning, I knew that I wanted to process this in the best possible way. There's not a good way or a bad way, but I just wanted to make sure that I could process that in the healthiest way that I could find for myself. So I think I've been doing a pretty good job on that. It comes and goes in waves. Sometimes I remember him and I get sad. But I think after the ceremony and after the trip to Guatemala, in which, by the way, we did a tarot reading, and I got two cards with eagles. And my dad used to call me his eagle. So I got two cards with an eagle. And then I got the third card that was a white feather. And the white feather it means that a loved one is trying to send you a message. So Guatemala was so full of references to eagles through the tarot, through the hotels that we would stay in. We stayed in a hotel called Eagle's Nest. This place was full of eagles. We could see eagles the whole time, which is not an easy animal to spot. And I think this whole trip was just like a confirmation that my dad is still there in a different way, in a different state, but he's still there with me. So we did work on that also on the fire ceremony. She told me that I could talk to him through the fire. It's a believe it or not. During the fire ceremony, I was like so concentrated. And then sometimes my mind would kick in and I'm like, who are these gods really? Like, am I really talking to the wind and the mountain and my dad? And sometimes my logic mind would kick in. And sometimes I would get like super lost in the ceremony. I need to say that there was no drugs, no substances, neither in the Temazcal, neither in the fire ceremony, neither in the ecstatic dance that I'm going to share in a second. It was all just the magic of these rituals that the Mayans have had for so long. I do feel a little bit more, a little lighter regarding my dad's situation. And yeah, this whole trip, I had so many eagles and so many, signs from my dad. And I literally have the impression that after 1 year, he learned how to send signs and now he's like over delivering. Like he really wants me to know that I'm, loved and supported from a different place now. And he's been sending so many signs. Like he's really over delivering. And then the third thing that we did was a cacao ceremony and static dance. So the cacao is also part of the Mayan culture. They drink a lot of cacao. I was so happy, man. I love chocolate. I love cacao. And they would serve hot, warm cacao pretty much all the time. I was so happy. And we were in this magnificent hotel. It's like a yogi all-inclusive hotel. And basically you book a night in there and you have all three meals included. They're all vegetarian or vegan if you want vegan. And you have all of the classes included. So I knew that there would be a cacao ceremony with yoga. It was like a full thing for 3 hours. Cacao ceremony, yoga, static dance, and sound healing. I was like, wow, let's do it. Basically, what the cacao does is that it will open your heart and your intuition will become stronger and you will get more messages and more wisdom, really. And you get a little bit high because of, the dopamine, the endorphins, the endorphins that you're releasing because you're eating cacao. So you get a bit high, but it's like a natural, nice high. It's not something crazy. So we took the cacao. It's really part of the Mayan culture. We had a yoga teacher from Finland, and then we had the DJ, the person that was guiding the static dance ceremony. He is from Guatemala, so we had a local explaining to us the meaning of the cacao, the connection that they have with the cacao, the fact that they in their families, in Guatemala, they usually meet and they share a cup of warm cacao, and it was just really beautiful. So we had this cacao ceremony, and we had the most amazing view I've ever seen until now. I'm going to say it, the most amazing view that I've ever seen to do yoga and to do static dance. And we were, just opening up our hearts with the cacao, opening up our bodies with a very gentle yoga practice just to open up. And then we had the static dance. Static dance, it means that there's music, usually kind of electro. This was like ethnical electro music, which was really nice. And the DJ was also playing the saxophone. So we actually had a static dance with a saxophone, and they call it saxstatic dance. I was like, this sounds so cool. Be careful that people don't misread it for sextatic dance. That would be another thing that honestly I would be open to try, but not many people would be open to try. But this was a saxtatic dance, super cool name. And just being able to dance with the saxophone playing just for us, because we had a private session. I mean, we thought it would be a group session, to be honest. And then we arrived and it was just the two of us. And I was like, no, I was like a little bit disappointed. And then I was like, wait, but actually, we're having a private cacao ceremony, yoga class, saxstatic session. And in the end, it was really beautiful. Like we had a private session just for my friend and I, and it was just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So I went into this ceremony, let's call ceremony the whole thing, with a question. And this is something that I have been working on in these past couple of months. I've been working a lot on abundance, working a lot on my money mindset, working a lot on how to translate the energy of abundance, which is in an energetic field, into more abundance in this 3D world. So I went into this cacao ceremony and static dance, etc., with a question. And the question was, how does abundance feel? What's the feeling of abundance? How does it feel in my body? Because when we are in the manifestation process, one of the most important things is to understand the feeling that we think a certain thing will give us. And I have defined the feeling that, abundance in the sense of financial abundance gives me and will continue to give me on even higher amounts. And I've defined it for myself as a combination of peace, because all of your needs are met and you don't need to worry about anything. A combination of peace, combination of freedom, because you can do whatever you want, whenever you want to do it, with whomever you want to do it. You can choose whatever you want, the nicest hotel, the first flight class, or the super chill thing because you feel like doing something chill. Like you just have the freedom to choose. And then there's a sense of expansion. You can do more things. You can be more of yourself because you have, the possibility to actually be more and do more. So there's, for me, abundance, it's a mix of peace, freedom, and expansion. Expansion includes a bit of joy because there's a joy in doing more things and being more of yourself. And this is kind of how I've described abundance and what I think that higher levels of abundance will provide for me. But I was also wondering, how does abundance really feel? It's like I can't just yet, feel it in my bones. How does abundance truly feels in my bones? And the session was just so beautiful, and it gave me such a beautiful answer. So we had the cacao ceremony that opened our hearts. We had the yoga that opened our bodies. We had sound healing, so we were already at a very high frequency. And then we just started dancing, and I had such an amazing view. I could have a beautiful view over a lake and a volcano, or I had an amazing view over the jungle. And I just had this feeling that it's kind of hard to describe, but I was like, I tuned in into being like this goddess from the jungle with a pineapple on on my head and this beautiful dress that was made of flowers and plants. And I was like this goddess of nature, I would call it, goddess of nature, goddess of the jungle. It was like very Amazonian, kind of Brazilian goddess, if you will, like kind of like tropical, tropical goddess. And I just tuned into this energy, and I was this goddess of nature and abundance. And there was a sunshine on my face, and I was dancing and just enjoying the sunshine on my face, and I was looking at the flowers and feeling the flowers, and I was in contact with the jungle and just feeling the beautiful vibration of these plants and the jungle, and looking into the water and its calmness and its wisdom. And I was nature. I was nature. I was a part of nature. And during this whole trip, I had been thinking a lot about abundance and the feeling of abundance. And I think in that moment, I just made, like this clear connection between abundance and nature. Because in nature, there's so much. There's so many plants. There's so many flowers. There's so many fruits. There's sunshine that it's like infinite. There's water that feels infinite. There's these beautiful mountains and rocks, and it's just so full, so alive, so lush. And I just had this feeling of just being complete, of being overflowing with blessings from nature in this case. And it was just like this just really high state of bliss, joy, abundance, feeling complete, feeling pleasure in my senses, because I was seeing so many beautiful things. I had the gorgeous taste of cacao in my mouth, and I was just like and I was this tropical goddess with a pineapple on my on my head, and this beautiful dress made of flowers, and I became this goddess, this Brazilian goddess. And I got my answer. What is abundance? Abundance is all of that. It's so hard to describe because it's such a high state. And it's really hard to define if it's joy, if it's feeling complete, if it's feeling peaceful, if it's all of the above. It's all of those feelings together, compounded, mixed in a beautiful, complex way. It's just so hard to put into words. Sometimes when you reach these higher, high states, it's really hard to put things into words. It's like words are limiting the feeling. Do you know that feeling, for example, when you love someone so much? It could be your partner or your child or your pet or a friend. You love them so much, and you look at them and you just melt. You can't believe this amazing feeling that you're having, and you cannot put it into words because it's such a high, beautiful state. It's kind of like that. It's so hard to put into words. And the best way I can describe it is you become part of nature. You are nature. You are the miracle, and you get to experience all of the miracles of this life, of this planet, of this universe. And it was, oh my God, such a nice feeling. I was like ecstatic, literally ecstatic, feeling blissful, happy, just full of life. I was life, I was nature, and it was such a profound and beautiful experience. And I got my answer. I asked, how does abundance feel? And I got the answer was this feeling. There you go. And I was just dancing, enjoying my body, enjoying that I'm alive, enjoying that I'm healthy, enjoying that my friend was there and we could laugh, enjoying the sunshine on my face, enjoying the jungle, enjoying the saxophone, enjoying the taste of the cacao. It was just this moment of ecstasy, really. It was a moment of ecstasy. And I really got the answer that I was looking for when I went into the ceremony. So these were the three things that we tried: the Temazcal, the fire ceremony with the shaman, and then the cacao ceremony and static dance. And it was such a profound and beautiful combination. It was really deep. It was really beautiful. And it's so beautiful to start, to start to tap into these really, really high frequencies. I think for many years I was doing the job because I was at very low frequencies. I was vibrating in sadness, vibrating in fear, vibrating in desire, vibrating in the lack of certain things. And now the more and more I raise my vibration, I'm tapping into peace, into enlightenment, into love, into abundance. And it's just magnificent. It's just magnificent. The feelings that we can hold in our hearts, in our souls. And it was just so beautiful, so beautiful. And this whole trip made me feel so grateful, so grateful that I get to experience these emotions that were some time ago foreign to me, and I get to actually feel all of these feelings in my heart. I was so grateful that this is my life now. This is what I do for a living. I took 2 weeks of holidays whenever I wanted. I didn't have to ask to anyone. I took 2 weeks whenever I wanted. So I had the time freedom. I decided to work for 3 days. I decided to work because I didn't want it to cut some of the coaching processes for 2 weeks. So I decided to concentrate most of my coaching sessions in those 3 days. And I was working from this gorgeous apartment in Guatemala with the view over ginormous tree and plants, and it was so lush and green. And I had the location freedom to work from this magnificent place. I could visit a friend for 2 weeks, which is such a luxury, to just be with a friend who lives across the ocean for 2 weeks. While I was away, my clients were manifesting beautiful things. One of my clients from the retreat announced that she was pregnant, and she was like, I think this has a lot to do with the work that we did on the retreat. I needed to, reach some conclusions, get some insights, and I got them on the retreat, and that allowed me to decide that I wanted to be a mother and get pregnant. Another client announced me 30% salary raise in her own current job because of negotiations that we did together with her boss. And my clients were winning, flying. Many people telling me, I just listened to this podcast episode and I absolutely loved it. I love how you framed this and that and the other thing. It was so hard to understand, but you made it like super simple for me. And I just felt so inspired by this podcast episode. I was on holidays and I had new clients joining my world, paying me while I was on holidays. They decided to join my world, and I'm like, wow, like this is my life now. I change women's lives forever. Feel so happy while I do all of that. Feel so creative. I feel so blessed. My business is doing very well. I'm selling while I'm on holidays. My clients are doing so well. I'm changing their lives. I get to be in the other side of the world whenever I want to, work whenever I want to, chill whenever I want to. And I'm like, wow, like this is my life now. When 1 year ago, when I was in my corporate job, I was dreaming of all of these things. I was dreaming of changing people's lives. I was dreaming of having my own business. I was dreaming of pouring my own creativity and heart and soul and wisdom into my podcasts and my clients. I was dreaming about traveling and working from wherever I wanted. I was dreaming about unlocking new levels of abundance for myself. I was dreaming about all of these things. And now all of these things are my reality, my everyday life, my regular week, my regular day. I just got back from Guatemala. I'm going to be in Madrid for 1 week. My mom is here. I'm moving to Paris with the love of my life and my dog. And I have a beautiful plan with him in Paris. We will probably get married and have children. And it's just like, wow, what? I built all of this. For me, this is my life now. The feeling that I have, it's literally like you have asked Santa Claus for a huge list of things and you wake up on Christmas and he is giving you all of those things. All of those. The job that you want to do, that you love doing, that is super well paid. You can travel. You can change people's lives. There's an impact. You love doing what you do. You travel. You have the boyfriend. You are going to get married. You are going to have children. You have your dream dog. You're going to have a beautiful apartment in Paris. It's like I created all of this for myself. I created this life. I visualized this, and then I did my bit, and then the universe was like tons of magic in there. And it's like I feel so lucky, so blessed, so grateful, so privileged to be able to have this life right now. And I also know that it's not a coincidence. I created all of this. I designed all of this. There was a 50% that I did, and there was a 50% that the universe was like, off you go. There you go. Some more women that need you. There you go. Beautiful trip to Guatemala. There you go. This and that and the other miracle that are happening in your life. There you go. The love of your life. There you go. This thing. You're going back to Paris. You said you wanted to live in Paris. Off you go. You're back to Paris. So, so, so beautiful. So beautiful. And now that I'm on this side, now that I'm actually living my dream life, what I wanted for myself, I can tell you that there's a way to do that. There's There's a process to do that. There's a process to find your purpose. There's an approach to get yourself exactly to the same place. This is not just for some lucky people. Any person who wants this badly enough will get it. And there are many things that I wish I knew a couple of years ago when I was trying to find my purpose and trying to understand what I wanted. I think I wasted a lot of time in things that didn't really give me answers. And now I decided to, you know what? I'm going to condensate everything that I know about how to find your purpose, how to go from a life that is okay, but meh, you're not really happy, you're not really fulfilled, to a life that makes you feel ecstatic pretty much every day of your life. Pretty much every day of your life. And I decided to create a process to guide women through this. And it's a 4-month process. In the first month, we dive. So you want to, on that first month, you will learn who you are, what you want, your values, your priorities in life, the lifestyle that you want. During that first month, you need to know yourself at the deepest level. So we dive into yourself on the first month. The second month, we dream. You're going to dream big. Allow yourself to dream big. It doesn't need to be realistic just yet. You just want to dream big. Allow yourself to want what you actually want. There's going to be many ideas in that second month. On the third month, you're going to choose one idea and you're going to design how that idea would actually look like. What does this actually mean in terms of lifestyle? What does this actually mean in terms of setup? Does it mean that I change my job? Does it mean that I create my own company? What does this actually mean? So you design the life that will allow you to fulfill that dream that you have. And then on the fourth month, we do. So dreaming is super beautiful and nice, but doing and making your dream come true, it's even better. Dreaming without action will lead you nowhere. You need to dream first and then you need to do. So on that fourth month, you are going to break down basically, okay, this is my situation today and this is where I want to be in the future. What's the roadmap to get you there? Which are the exact milestones that you need to be ticking in order to get yourself there? And I'm Libra, so I love to dream and design and think and have all of the ideas. But I'm a sun in Libra, but I'm a Virgo rising. And that Virgo rising is like, okay, that dream is nice. How do you actually make it happen? Which are the steps? Which are the timings? Which resources you need? What does this actually mean in your life concretely? And this is basically the process that I guided myself through. I had these dreams and goals of having this company called Blisstopia. Blisstopia is this vision for the world. And that was like my Libra side. And everything was, it's going to be pretty and violet and a bit of pink. And everything is going to be la la la, all the vision. And then my Virgo rising was like, okay, amazing, sounds good. But what does this actually mean? What's the timing to transition from your current job that you don't like anymore into creating this business? Okay, tell me what's the structure. Tell me what's the plan. So this is basically what I want to walk you through, from having lots of ideas and dreaming, etc., to actually making it happen. So 4 months, dive, dream, design, do. We go from the more general things, self-awareness, what you need to know about yourself, all of your ideas, and then we pick one idea. Once it's compelling, you love it, you're like, yes, this is it, this is what I want to do. Okay, now we do it. So we go kind of like in a tunnel from the more general things to the more specific things. And at the end of this 4-month program, you're going to feel so lit up. You're going to feel so happy, alive, and you're going to feel like you have a plan to actually execute and be living and be doing what you actually want to do with your life. So if you want to do all of this, we want to find your purpose, you don't like your job, but you're not really sure what it could be. What else could it be? What else could I do? I have so many ideas, but actually I don't know. And you're feeling lost and frustrated and demotivated, then let's do this. We're going to work together for 4 months. You're going to leave those 4 months with a clear idea of what you want to do and a clear plan of how to get there. And this is going to change your life forever. So if you want to do this work with me, I would be so happy, so honored to serve you, to walk you through the process, to save time for you, because there's many things that I've done in the past that I now know that don't work. And there's many things that I've done that I know work. So I'm going to cut all of that for you. And instead of being there and doing it on your own for 2 or 3 years, being lost for 2 or 3 years, you can do this in 4 months in a structured way, following all the guidelines that I will be giving you during 4 months to get to where you want to go in life. So if you want to work with me, you will find the link in the show notes. The program is called Path to Purpose. And I would just love to guide you on that journey. While I was in Guatemala, I had new clients joining this program, and they have had now the first and the second session, and they're just like mind blown. So if you want to be mind blown as well, if you want to be soul blown, then join me. Let's do this together. You can DM me. I will send you all of the information that you need. And we're going to do this 4 months, you and I, and we're going to find what your purpose in life is and how to make it happen. So thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. It's been a true pleasure to share all of these experiences with you, all of these learnings with you, all of these emotions with you. I hope you're feeling inspired, alive, lit up, and I wish you an amazing week. I will see you on the next episode. And in the meantime, in Blisstopia we trust.